Pleased to be joined by North Bay Mayor Al McDonald. First up today, Mr. Mayor, let's discuss the homeless situation in this city. Along with the temporary shelter at the Pete Pelangio, there is now funding from the province to open up a permanent homeless shelter for 16 beds on Chippewa Street at the old OPP building. Just discuss the significance of this provincial funding.
So we're seeing about 30 to 35 individuals at Pete Pelangio Rink. It's a true homeless shelter where people can go and get out of the cold or the rain or out of the weather elements, and they can get fed. So Mary Davis and her group are doing a tremendous job. We are honestly getting some complaints in the neighborhood for sure, but we're doing everything we can to lessen that impact and also look after the vulnerable and the homeless. The amount of money that DSAB, or local social services, did receive was like around 1.2 million. And that is for transitional housing, which is a little bit different than the homeless shelter. But I think that's fabulous news. Really appreciate the support from our MPP and the province for that. It was all part of the roundtable trying to come up with all the different services. So I think it's good news in the long run. But we as society have to, find solutions to the homeless problem. It's not just North Bay, it's right across the country.
Will these two locations operate in harmony at the same time for the long term?
So we only have funding to operate Pete Pelangio up till the end of June. So we're actually going to set up a meeting with DSAB, mental health, and ourselves for next steps after June 30th. And we're not too sure, I don't have the details, how quickly they can get the former OPP station up and running. But that is on our agenda to try to plan past June 30th for the homeless situation. It's not easy. It's a very complex challenge. We provide shelter. They can have up to 50 individuals at Pete Pelangio, yet we still have people sleeping in tents. They don't want to go to the shelter. So we have to recognize as citizens that there are some that refuse, even when you provide the shelter, will not go.
Now, I know this is an extremely delicate issue and people's livelihoods are at stake, but I have heard conjecture from members of the public that citizens from other towns, other cities are being bused to North Bay because our services are the best in the province. That's great, being able to help people. However, our tax base and our supports can only go so far. How do you manage this if you are able to confirm that people are being bused here from other cities?
Yeah, we're looking into that, Clarke. We've heard that as well. We can't confirm it. Do we know that the odd person does come up from Barrie? Yes, we do know that. But we also know that some of our citizens go elsewhere as well. So anyways, as I mentioned, it is very complex. And people are allowed to go wherever they want anyways, right? So we can't mandate that you can't go live in Orillia or Barrie, the same way we can't say you can't move to North Bay. But I know it's a sore spot with some people. But at the end of the day, citizens can move around and there's nothing we can do. We just try to provide the services if we're here. And there's no question that Mary Davis and her group and DSAB and the city do look after their vulnerable very well. And I think that just speaks to our community as being caring and generous. But there'll always be some that disagree with that as well.
You just got off the phone with a chamber conference call concerning business and keeping businesses afloat until the province reopens. What's the latest?
So we always speak with our community partners. Today was the chamber call. We do meet with them once a month. In this case now it's all Zoom or telephone conference. We met with all the developers yesterday to say how can we assist moving forward. I believe that we're working very well with our community partners, and our community partners are working very well with us. We get that we're all in this together. We want to make sure that we're ready to go, but we want our community partners ready to go when the province does turn on that light switch or give us the green light. So we've been working on economic recovery readiness now since March 31st. We're ready to go. Some of the steps we're taking is all our capital projects. We're working on them. They're going to be shovel ready. So it's the best stimulus program you can have for your local companies if you can do those infrastructure projects. So council, through their leadership, and they've been fantastic, and our city staff, we're going to have all those projects shovel ready when the province gives us the go ahead.
And lastly, concerning the budget constraints, there was discussion of potentially dipping into reserves to augment the lack of revenue for the city. Is this happening?
So right now, we're managing our finances really well. As you know, unfortunately, we had to lay off about 80 people. We put a hiring freeze in. We've canceled all discretionary spending. We're not going to hire summer students. So our budget's in pretty good shape. And by law, we have to balance our budget. We can't run deficits. But I will say that council and our city staff have done a tremendous job. Our biggest drag or biggest loss right now is our public transit system. We feel it's important that we continue to run it, but we subsidize it, or citizens subsidize it, about $4.5 million every year. And by not having fares to keep our bus drivers safe but still get people around, is costing us about a $17,000 a week amount. So that is probably the biggest hit on our budget, is our transit. We could cancel transit, but then a lot of people wouldn't be able to get to doctor's appointments or medical appointments or the drugstore or the grocery store. So it's one of those things that we're going to continue on. But I will say, Clarke, that the budget is being well managed and we're in pretty good shape.
Are reserves being used?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
So we're in the middle of the budget. So at the end of the year, if there is a deficit, then absolutely we would have to dip in the reserves. Now, if the deficit is $300,000 to $1 million, yeah, absolutely we'll have to go into reserves, and that's why reserves are there. Our balance sheet is very strong. We've been very prudent. And that's why we've done what we've done. So our city finances are very strong, but we want to work with our local citizens and our businesses too, because we want them to be supported. And that's why we have those programs to defer water or property taxes. We've waived penalties and interest. Just waiving penalties and interest, to give you just an idea how much that costs, is about $40,000 a month. But we're still managing with all the gapping, the hiring freeze, the layoffs, the not hiring of summer students and discretionary spending. So it's being managed very well.
Mr. Mayor, thanks for joining us. Stay safe, and we'll chat with you soon.
You as well. Thank you, Clarke.